Welcome into WFRV Plus Sports Night. I am your host, Carson Fowler. We're talking the Wisconsin Badgers, the men's basketball team today, because they're 19-8. They are playing really well. They just won a big game against a very, very good Iowa team last night. Nick Boyd, again, the spark plug on offense for this team, 27 points, 10 assists, and a rebound short of a triple-double. Greg Gard even saying to himself, he said, I didn't know what the stats were. I feel bad now having pulled him out late. Kind of unfortunate. I mean, the Badgers did play very well, and they were up late against Iowa, so I understand why. But, man, dude, let him get a triple-double. You got to look at that stat sheet, bro. Triple-doubles, they don't happen too often in college basketball, so that would have been pretty cool. Obviously, it did not happen. The Badgers fell out of the rankings this week after being ranked for the first time since week 4 of the college basketball season. Of course, they lost to Ohio State on the road earlier this week. And that's actually the topic of conversation because the Badgers play 3 of their next 4 games on the road. They don't play in Madison again until March 4th of next week, which I believe is a Wednesday. So they've got 9 days until they're back from their West Coast trip. They go to Oregon, they play at Eugene, and then they play Washington up is that in Seattle? I think it's in Seattle. So that'll be 2 tough games. Oregon, of course, is I'm looking at the standings now. Not 2 tough games. Washington and Oregon are 2 of the bottom teams in the Big Ten. But is any game really not a good game in the Big Ten? I mean, it's been consistently probably the best conference in college basketball the last 3 or 4 years. Now, granted, I grew up watching it, so you could make the case for the SEC. But, there's no game that's, not losable, not winnable in the Big Ten. And Wisconsin Badgers absolutely need to win. I would say both. There's nothing wrong with them for what it's worth. Sorry, I'm going to rephrase this. They are not on the outside looking into the tournament. I would say they are a lock currently just because of the caliber of wins they have. I mean, you think about the 2 wins they had last week against Michigan State and Illinois. They were, at the time, the only team with 3 top 10 victories. Those 3 top 10 victories being Michigan State, and Illinois. So Wisconsin playing good basketball, need to keep playing good basketball. Of course, the last game of their season, which will be on the road at number 8, now number 8 Purdue at Mackey Arena, which if you haven't been, man, probably one of the best atmospheres in college basketball. I went to a game there in 2021, the spring of 21. It was actually March Madness, and it was UConn against Maryland. And that was COVID, so there were no fans there, and it was still extremely loud. That is a hostile environment. Purdue came to Wisconsin earlier this year, and they smacked Wisconsin by 16. So that's going to be a really tough game. I think that's going to be the game that kind of helps us understand how good this Badgers team is, because I think they're a team that can win really, really close contested games, really, games that are, I wouldn't say they're favored, games against really good teams, but they can also lose some games. They are, I would say, up and down to their competition. I mean, you look at some of the games they lost in the earlier part of the season, and they're a much better team than they were to begin the year. But I mean, you think about the Big Ten: Michigan, Illinois, Nebraska, Purdue, Michigan State. Those 5 teams are all above Wisconsin in the Big Ten standings. Now, if you remember, only the top 4 teams in the Big Ten Conference at the end of the regular season get that double bye. So that's another reason why these last 3-4 games are crucial, especially those 3 on the road. Got to win in Oregon, got to win at Washington. I mean, those are, like I said before, any game is losable in the Big Ten. I mean, road games are tough, hostile environment. Maryland is they're struggling too, but that's going to be a home game. I mean, you're going to get tested in all of these games. But I would say if Wisconsin wants to get into that top 4 threshold, I'm looking at the standings right here. I mean, they really got to win, I would say, 3 of their next 4, because you're on the outside looking in right now. And in terms of the Big Ten Conference, if you're in that top 4, I would say you're a lock into March Madness, an absolute lock. If you were a top 4 team in the Big Ten, you're making it to March Madness. You've probably won 13 games, maybe more. I mean, 13 games in conference, I should say. That's kind of hard to beat. So and let's just do the math here. If they win 3 of their next 4, they would be 14-6. I think that's pretty good. 14-6, and you'd be 22-9 with a really good resume of ranked wins headed to March Madness. I think you're safe. You just don't want to call that into question. Like, you don't need to lose a couple more of these games and then end up being the 6, 7, 8 seed in the Big Ten Conference tournament, and then you have to play a team that's fighting their way, has a lot to lose, like in Indiana, like in Ohio State, like a USC, like a team that's on the outside looking in, where they're going to give you everything they got because that's their last game of the season, unless they either win out or win a few to convince our friends over at the National College, the NCAA, the NCAA selection committee, to get them into the tournament. So for Wisconsin, got to win probably 3 of your next 4 to solidify top 4 bye. Got to win on the road. That Purdue game is going to be a battle. I would be interested. That game is at 3:00 on CBS. I mean, that could be the game of the week. Jim Nantz might call that game. That'd be interesting. I mean, that could easily be a top 25 ranked matchup if Wisconsin takes care of business this next week plus. It'd be 22-8. I mean, I think you'd make them 24 and Purdue's top 10 team in the country. That'd be a really fun game. And again, I think Wisconsin's playing really, really good basketball right now. That Wisconsin game, Nick Boyd attributed to a lack of energy and effort, and he actually kind of not patted himself on the shoulder, kind of took it on the chest. That's probably not the best way to say it, but he was upset at how they played, and he thought that he could have done more. I think he had like 14 points. It was like one of like 6 outings where he has 20 or more. Kid averages 20 points a game, so you can't ask much more from him. But we will show you the press conference after their game against Iowa. They talked a lot about they being Nolan Winter, Nick Boyd, and Austin Rapp. Those 3 talked a lot about the implications of beating Iowa. They got to go play on the road. How do they keep that chip on their shoulder? How do they keep winning? And then at the end of the next block, we'll get you Greg Gard and all that he had to say after that game. So take a quick break here on WFRV Plus Sports Night. But until now, get ready for more Badgers. Welcome back into WFRV Plus Sports Night. I got to figure out my clips down here. Okay, got it. So, again, we're going to show you Nick Boyd, Austin Rapp, Nolan Winter. They spoke after Wisconsin's big win over Iowa on Sunday. They had a lot to say about that game and everything that's going to happen in the near future. Again, like I said, the Wisconsin Badgers will not play at home until March 4th of next week when they host the Maryland Terrapins. So let's get to those 3.
Nick, when we spoke earlier this week, it felt like you weren't pleased with your performance against Ohio State. And do you have kind of an extra chip on your shoulder on top of the one you normally have, kind of with the energy and how you played coming off the bat today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was a tough performance. Ohio State, I just think our energy was lacking. And, as one of the leaders, I got to bring that juice. So, that's the best part of my game. I feel like my energy is contagious. And when I'm just, feeling good, flying around, up and down, getting under guys, usually it's a good outcome. So, yeah.
Right up front, thank you.
Nick, obviously a lot was going right, 27 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. What about today are you most proud of?
The win. None of that matters. We don't win. So, we got a great win over a great Iowa team, and now, we got to focus even more because we're going on the road for like 5 or 6 days, and this is just time, it's kind of special because right before March, you get a time with the team, bond some more and figure things out, and, that's usually what you need if you want to make a deep run, so.
Right up here, fellas.
Nick, there are some really, really good point guards in the Big Ten this year. You've gone up against a couple of them recently and, held your own. Do you take those matchups personally?
I'm hold my own. Hold my own?
So I think you just answered my question. You clearly take those matchups personally?
Yeah, I love to compete. That's the reason why I came here. Play against the best guys in the country, whether it's point guard, shooting guard, center, whoever it is. That's the reason why I came to the Big Ten. So, yeah, I love to compete. It's the name of the game.
Ben in the back, fellas.
Nolan, straight back. Where did you guys improve with your low post defense as the game wore on? Because they got action early, and it seemed like it was a lot harder as the game wore on for them to score at the rim.
Yeah, I think, like you said, early on in the game, they were beating us with some 50-50 balls. They were, kind of beating us up on the low block. Took some timeouts. Coach got on us a little bit. That's what we needed. And I think things kind of changed, especially going into that second half. I think we brought a lot of more defensive intensity and just physicality that we needed, and we need to continue to bring in the first half of games moving forward. But no, I think it was just overall physicality and toughness.
Michael.
Nolan, you got a couple threes to fall. When you're hitting your threes and Austin's hitting them off the bench, how dangerous does that make you guys?
Yeah, helps a lot. I know it helps Nick get downhill, having, the other big guys not being able to just plug the lane. It helps all sorts of guards and, obviously me and Rap knocking some down. It's good for the confidence. So just continuing to do that, I think it opens up a lot of areas for this offense, and it makes us really hard to guard.
Go ahead, Jim.
Nick, you said before that you like to bring the juice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where you'll try to get the crowd fired up, and they will respond. Have you embraced this fan group this year? You only get 1 year here.
Yeah.
Have you really embraced? It seems like they've embraced you. I'm just wondering how that relationship is going for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a good year. Wrapping up in the Kohl Center, only one more left. Obviously, I just love the environment. The Kohl Center's been awesome, and we got one more. It's a job not done yet. We still got one more here to, close out. But their energy is contagious. It helps our team play better, and when they're fired up, I'm fired up, and usually we win. So it's the goal.
Got Ben in the back, guys.
Nolan, you've had 3 pretty good point guards in your tenure here. How is Nick different? How is the offense run differently with him?
Well, for me as a big man, just his speed and his ability to push the ball, and he might be 1-on-4, 1-on-5, and he goes and somehow finds a lane and throws it up and it goes in, and you just kind of stand on the three-point line. I don't know how he just did that. He's just kind of a magician with the ball. He'll hit you on rolls when you don't think you're open. He hit me a couple times today where, I thought there was no way, and the ball found its way to me. So I think, and along with that, I think his leadership is something that really stands out. Not saying past guards haven't been great leaders, but the way he uses his voice, the way, in games where team or players are kind of low energy, not always ready to go. We got Nick over there who's always going to bring the energy. He's always going to be leading. He's always going to be, talking schematically about what we need to do and just lightening up the mood a little bit for us. He knows what to do and what to say in certain situations. So it's been a blessing to be able to play with him, and he's been a lot of fun to play with. And I know for you guys and fans, it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Go ahead, Michael. We've got 2 more questions. Michael and
Austin, when you guys started turning this season around with that Michigan upset, you were out of the lineup then. Is there anything you picked up from that stretch that allowed you to join in and just be a part of these winning efforts?
Yeah, obviously beating Michigan on the road is, I don't think anyone's done it other than us this year. So that was a pretty special moment just to embrace it and kind of be in the team's success. I wasn't really thinking about where I could plug in and fit in, but I knew that I could really help this team win some games, and it's been good. Obviously, I've been through my ups and downs this season, but I feel like I'm starting to get a little bit of a groove, and it's important, especially heading into March, that we continue to embrace these games. This is a big-time team in Iowa. It's not a team we take lightly. Now we've got to get 2 on the road here on the West Coast. So just got to continue the success, and anything can happen in March.
Enjoy 24-hour access at most Planet Fitness clubs. $1 down, $15 a month. Deal ends February 27th.
So you guys are just like State Farm, right?
First of all, for Nick, did you realize you were 1 rebound short?
Yeah, they was telling me on the bench, one more rebound. And I was like, when you say it, it's hard to find it. So, I don't know. I didn't even know how I got 9, but I just love our energy today, and we just got to keep that up, man. Look, moving forward, we have 4 more games left in the regular season, 2 on the road, and, we got a chance to put ourselves in a really good position. So just got to stay focused.
And then for Austin, what did you see on those 2 second-half threes that seemed to kind of really break things open?
They were kind of, their defense was something we had seen against TCU earlier on in the year, and that's something they haven't done. Iowa hasn't done to any teams. So we obviously talked a lot and spoke about how the pops will be there on the empty sides, but also getting to the rim, like rolling on the first sides, few too, gets the lanes opened up for these guys. And I think my first one, the second half, I popped and Rody found me. I shot it, and then the next one, I kind of just, there was like 8 seconds left on the shot clock, and Nick threw it to me on the wing. And I just felt good. I shot it, and it went in. So just a kind of a feel shot, and yeah, went down.
I think my favorite quote from that press conference was Nick Boyd getting a little flustered on the question about him taking some of these matchups personally. He's like, man, I just love to compete. Like, that's why I came to Wisconsin. Man, I love that. I love that, dude. Like, you were playing very high-level college basketball at San Diego State. Your team was great, but you wanted even greater. You wanted the test of greatness. You wanted to play against the best players in the country. That is exactly what you want in your point guard. You want a stone-cold killer who invites the competition. Man, I just love that. I loved hearing that from Nick Boyd. I'm sure when Greg Gard listened to that press conference, because I know that he did, he was like, man, like, that's my guy. That's why I recruited him to Wisconsin. Man, that got me so fired up. Anywho, all right, take a quick break here. When we come back, Greg Gard and what he had to say about the Iowa game and everything they've got in front of them as they continue their pursuit towards March Madness. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WFRV Plus Sports Night. I am your host, Carson Fowler. Cameron Ezaire on injury reserve. No, I'm just kidding. Kyle Malzahn on injury reserve. Just kidding. No, they are both enjoying some much-deserved time off, so you get me. And again, we're talking the Badgers and all the success they're having. Big win against Iowa. They've won a bunch of top 10 games. And Greg Gard had a lot to say after their win against Iowa yesterday, so let's not keep the man waiting. Here is that press conference.
First of all, great. I want to give a shout out to our fans. I thought they were loud and into it and energetic again to have another sellout, and they sounded like it was sold out. So just want to give a thank you to them, and let's load it back up again when we come back in here in another week. But I was really happy with how we responded and some adjustments and things in the second half. Defensively tweak some things, and we're able to keep some of the middle ball screens that they do so well under control a little bit better. And then that defense led to some offense, and obviously Boyd was terrific. We're able to spread the floor, and when you make some shots around him, it opens up more, and we got into a pretty good pace and did what we wanted to do from an offensive standpoint. But happy for our guys because they responded. They were ready for today and played pretty well, specifically that second half.
Nick?
Greg, you touched on it with Boyd there. Obviously, he's had a lot of strong performances as a Badger so far with the complete nature today. Just how imperative was that in that point guard matchup, and how did you see that offensive rhythm grow after those first 6 or 7 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't matched specifically with Sturtz. Through the exchanges that happen and the flow of a possession, it happens at times or in transition. But I thought he really, he puts a lot of pressure on the defense, like he always has. And I'm probably the one to blame for the early pull because I didn't realize he had 9 rebounds in the triple double. But coaches were trying to remind me, and I felt keeping him healthy. The game was done; it was wrapped, and was more important than if he could snag another rebound to have a triple-double. But, he was really good. He's, he plays with emotion. He plays with fire, and he backs it up. Like I said, he was the best player on the floor today.
Let's go.
Obviously, the 27 points for him will grab a lot of attention, but with the 10 assists, the 9 rebounds,
right.
Kind of what stood out to you about kind of everything else that he did?
Yeah, I mean, he just they all play together, right? I mean, he's getting to the rim and making shots, and then it condenses, and then we start, other guys bang down some shots, wrap. Winter hits one, Rody got one in the second half. We start to, and then it puts the defense in a quandrum, right? Are they going to condense and try to squeeze and load against him, or are they going to hang with our shooters? And we tweaked some things in the second half and played more in the middle of the floor, which I think helped. It spread us out a little bit better, and it conversely spread the defense out, or spread the defense out a little bit better. And then you have to make shots, right? You can make adjustments and things, but we were able to, like I said, to open the floor up more for him, and he did a great job of picking his spots.
Michael.
Early January, Austin wasn't in the lineup when you guys started turning things around, but now recently, whenever he misses a game, you guys lose. I guess, like, how did he become a player that it feels like you guys need night in, night out?
Well, he's improved, right? And I'm not talking about three-point shooting, because everybody was, had the spotlight on that, and there were so many other things, other parts of his game on both ends of the floor that he had to improve upon in order to be on the floor more consistently, right? You can't be a defensive liability, and you have to be able to do more things offensively than just shoot threes. So he's added and he's worked at his game, and he's got a long ways to go. I mean, I think he's strength and conditioning wise, he's got a ways to go, and that'll come through the next off season. But obviously being healthy helps. We got all hands on deck, and we're engaged and playing with some fire to us and some sense of urgency like we did today. We're a handful for teams, and we can play a lot of different variety of ways because we have a variety of lineups that we can go to. And today was a little smaller. I played a little smaller just because of how they play. But yeah, I mean, everybody will talk about the shots that he made, but his ability to switch ball screens and defensive rebound and fight people in the post and do some of those things has improved that he wasn't doing as consistent back November, December, early January.
Gentleman in the gray sweatshirt.
Get tax expertise without hidden fees. Switch to a TurboTax expert for $150.
Anything specifically emphasize? I mean, our offense is built to score, and we can score in a variety of ways. I mean, we can obviously transition is the first piece of it, but then with the weapons we have, obviously you have two dynamic guards in Boyd and Blackwell, and then you've got bigs that can really stretch the floor. And just puts defenses in a decision mode. They're going to have to pick their poison, so to speak. And I thought we did a good job of taking advantage of some things, spreading the floor, adjusting because they load the ball pretty well. But we were able to get some driving lines and finish plays at the rim, and then the counter to that is when the rim isn't open, somebody probably is on the perimeter. So, and the thing too was getting defensive stops so we could run. When we can get defensive stops and get in transition, just adds another layer of what we can do offensively.
Jim has a question.
Going back to Boyd, there seem to be moments this season where he's tried to do too much. Is that a fair assessment? And there's less of them now. How did you get to the point where that's happening less?
Well, showing things on film. Coaching, trying to help him get better, understand that you've heard me talk before about I don't want to micromanage, high-level offensive players, but we also have to understand, we talk a lot about analytics and the type of shots we're taking, and when he's cooking, you gotta let him cook a little bit, right, and let him roll, but I thought at Ohio State he took some shots that were early and ill-advised, and those showed up on the low light film, I guess you would say, in terms of our clips. And he's learned, and he wants to get better, and he's coachable, and he's competitive. So I think just his game has continued to mature, and I think he's also gotten more and more comfortable with the players around him, specifically Blackwell. And they've gotten more comfortable with each other, and that's helped, make them more dynamic when they're on the floor together.
So, two more questions for Coach.
Go ahead. We're okay.
We'll get
Coach.
I don't
First
have
half
anywhere
of
to
the
go,
season.
Dave.
Okay.
We don't fly west till tomorrow afternoon. So.
First half of the season, turnovers on offense were a bit of an issue in certain games where you'd get in the double digits. It felt like second half of the season, you guys have really done well against a team that forces a lot of turnovers. What did you see today in protecting the ball, especially as they were handling a lot of those ball handlers?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be strong with the ball. I mean, and I think that's another area that we have understood as a team collectively. We have to take care of it, right? And we've always have. I think we were averaging 8. We're one of the top in the country. I think we're averaging 8 turnovers a game, and we're playing at the pace we're playing at and the number of possessions we're trying to create. You can still play fast and aggressive and take care of the ball. You can do both. We've proven it. So it's still just being fundamentally sound, playing off 2 feet, pass and catch with 2 hands, things that we've been teaching for 30 plus years. So it's a team that's going to plug and dig at the ball. You got to be. You can't go where there's a loaded side, right? And then when you do go, you got to make sure you're strong with it and understand you're probably going to get hit. You're probably going to get grabbed. Don't whine about it. Go finish the play. And I thought for the most part, we have a couple spurts where we got a little sloppy with it, but by and large, I thought we handled what they were trying to do defensively decently well. First of all,
so that was Greg Gard talking about his team and their, I want to say, 13-point win over Iowa. To recap everything that's kind of happened, 3 of the Badgers' next 4 on the road, one of those games being at Purdue, March 7th, on our air, 3 o'clock. Man, could be a ranked Badger squad versus a top 10 Purdue Boilermaker squad. They could even be top 5 then. But the 2 games that are really important are these next 2, at Oregon, at Washington, just 2 teams that have not been playing well, not great Big Ten teams. But again, any game in the Big Ten is going to be a challenge. So they need to take care of business and ultimately solidify themselves into a top 4 spot in the Big Ten Conference so they get that double bye in the conference tournament come March. But I think that's going to pretty much do it for WFRV Plus Sports Night on this Monday, February 23rd. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Find us on Twitter at WFRV Sports. Watch all of our stories on wearegreenbay.com and tune into our coverage. We appreciate you. Have a good night.